So let's start with the design of the combined rectangular footing. So this is the data we have for the rectangular combined footing. The two columns A and B, which is located at 4.50 meter apart. So this is the distance that in between the two columns A and B. The sizes of the columns are 400 mm into 400 mm and 600 mm into 600 mm respectively. The load on them are, that is 1200 kilonewton and 1800 kilonewton respectively. The projection of the footing parallel to the length of the footing beyond the axis of the column is restricted to 0.75 meter, and the safe bearing capacity of the soil is 275 kilonewton per meter square. Use M20 concrete and FE415 steel. So this is the data available for the design of the rectangular combined footing, in which we have two columns A and B with the load of 1200 kilonewton and 1800 kilonewton, and center to center distance between these columns, that is 4.50 meter, which is available. And here the one projection as well against the column A, which is 0.75, and the safe bearing capacity, that is 275 kilonewton per meter square, which is available. So this is the figure we have actually, and this projection that we will calculate here. Okay. So here you can see we have these two columns A and B here, and this whole length that you will calculate, we have only this data. This is available, that is 4.5 meter center to center in between these two columns A and B, and this projection, that is 0.75 meter on the left side of the column A, which is available. And these two load, that is 1200 kilonewton and 1800 kilonewton above that, which is available to us. And we have to design the other dimensions, like what will be the whole length, because only the center and this projection which is available, but we have to design this whole cross section of the footing. Okay, so let's see how to design that one. So here the step number one, we have the same, that will be remain same. We have the two load on the column, that is the total load, which is 1200 and 1800. The total we have here, that will be the 3000 kilonewton, and approximate weight of the footing, that we know that we will consider about as the 10% of the total column load. So that is equal to 300 kilonewton, and here we have the total load, that is 3300 kilonewton, which is available to us. And the safe bearing capacity, that is also available, 275 kilonewton per meter square. So now in step number 2, to calculate the area required for the footing, we will divide this column load plus the weight of the footing, approximate weight of footing, that is 3300, and divided by 275. So this is the area required against this load, that is 12 meters square. Okay, so now against this area we need to design the cross section, like the length and the width of the footing. So the distance of the resultant column load, this is the next step we have. This is the distance of the resultant column load from the axis of the column A. So from the axis of the column A, so this is the this is that will be lie up to this distance, that is a 2.70 meter. How? Because from the column A, this is 1800 kilonewton load, that is column on column B, and with the distance of 4.50 meter, and this is the total load against that. So that will be divided by this, and this is the basically the distance of the resultant of the column load from the axis of column A, which is lie up to this distance from the axis of the column A, 2.70 meter. And the next step here we have, this is the distance of the resultant of the column load from the left edge of the footing. What will be the left edge of the footing? So this is the projection that is available to us, that is 0.75 from the left edge of the footing, and this is that we get in the previous step, 2.70 meters. This is the resultant of the column load from the axis of the column A. So total length here we are getting 3.45 meter from the left edge of the footing. So this is the resultant of the column load from the left edge of the footing. and this is the resultant of the column load from the axis of the column A. So when you will add both these, so approximately you will get the center of the footing. So for the condition that the resultant column load should act as the centroid of the foundation plan. So we will consider that will be lie at the center of the foundation plan. So the length of the footing. So here we can say that if that will be the center of the footing, when you will twice this length, so that will be the total length of the footing. So this is how to get the length of the footing against the area required. So the area required, that was the 12 meters square. Okay, and when we calculate here the resultant load from the axis of the column A, and then we add with the projection from the left edge of the footing. So this is the half of the approximate half of the length of the footing that we get here, and we assume that the load that will be act at the centroid of the foundation plan. So when you will twice this one, so you will get the whole length of the footing. Okay, then we have the width of the footing. When this is the total area that you will get, that was the 12 meters square. So when you will divide with this length, so you will get the width of the footing, that is 1.74 meter, and we are basically fixing this one in the round figure, that is 1.75, and we assume we fix that 1.75 meter. This is the width of the footing. Then the next step here, so this is the figure that you will get here now. So which I discussed earlier, like here you can see. So this is the data which is available to us, only the central distance that was, and then this projection that was given, and these load are given. Now you can fix. So this is basically is the centroid that we get after adding this projection 0.75, and this is the distance of the resultant load that we will get from the axis of the column A, from this axis, and this that was the projection. So when you will add both these, so you will get this one 3.45 meter, and when you will twice this, this is the total length that you will get here, 6.90 meter, and this is the width of the footing, 1.75 meter against the area required that we get here. Is that clear up to this step?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Then we have the next step, that is to show the position of the column of the footing. So this one is the projection of the footing on the right side of the column, that is the column B. So again you will get this projection 1.65 meter, that on this side that you can see here on column B side. So this is the projection that you will get here. That this projection that was given, now you will get this projection when because this one is the half, this one is the half of the length, that is 3.45 meter. Again we are considering the same here, and now you will get this length when you will subtract this one 1.80 meter from the center of this axis from the column B. So this is the distance when you will subtract from this, this projection that you will get there. And then we have, now we can calculate here the net upward pressure intensity, because now we fix that area, we know that the actual length and the width of the footing. So against that and against the column load on the axis of the column, we can fix here this net upward pressure intensity, we can calculate here. So this is, here we are getting 248.45 kilonewton per meter square. That is the net upward pressure intensity that will act at the base of the footing against the axial load. Then the step number 5, here we have the depth of the footing. So again, first we are considering here the punching shear consideration under the column A. So the punching load here, that is the column load minus the reaction of the soil on the column area. So this is basically the net upward pressure intensity, which is acting above that column area, and this is the column load. So this is basically is the punching load that will be there, 1160.248 kilonewton. And this is the factor punching load when you will multiply it with the partial safety factor. So 1740.372 kilonewton. The design punching shear stress for M20 concrete as per this, that is 1.80. So against that, equating the punching shear stress to the factor punching load, you will get here the overall depth required under the column A. So when you will equate with that, so how, this is the four sides of the column we have for the total length, and D is overall depth. This is the punching shear, design punching shear stress for M20 grade of concrete which is available to us, that is 1.80, the design punching shear stress. And when you will equate with the factor punching load, you will get there the overall depth under the column A. So this is the figure that you will get here. So here you can see we have this load there in between that, and this bending moment along the column A and B that you will get here. So let's see how to get these values. The punching shear consideration under the column B. Again, there the punching load we have 1800 kilonewton, and this is the punching shear. This is the net upward pressure intensity under the column B, and the size of column, that is 600 into 600 mm. Again, this is the factor punching load multiplied, then you will get after the partial safety factor and equating with that. So this is the overall depth of the overall depth that you will get under the column B. Now so these were the punching shear consideration for both the column A and B. Now against the bending moment consideration, the factor load under the column A, that will be 1.50 multiplied by this, and this is the factor load that you will get here 1800 kilonewton, and the factor load under the column B, that will be 2700 kilonewton. So the reaction on the footing in the per meter run, so this is the total length of the footing we have. So this is the total factor load divided with that, the total length. So this is the reaction of the footing on the per meter run that you will get here, which I have shown to you in the last slide. That figure that you can see here. So this is the factor load we have, and against that, this is basically is the reaction against the length of the footing. So now against this reaction, we need to calculate here the bending moment. The bending moment under the column A, under the column A, that here we have. So this is the projection from the left edge of the footing, that is 0.75 meter. So this is the bending moment under the column A. This is the reaction that we calculated in the previous step. And then we have bending moment under the column B. So this is the projection that the right side of the axis from the column B. And when you will divide with that, so this is the bending moment under the column B. So the maximum hogging moment across at a section where the shear force is 0, and let this section be x meter from the left end. So equating the shear force to 0. So this is the reaction we have from the left end. Okay, and so that we are creating the x meter distance from the left end, where there will be the maximum hogging moment will be there, and the shear force that will be 0. So what distance that will be? So here we are getting x is equal to 2.76 meter, where there will be the maximum hogging moment, and the shear force that will be 0 there. So the hogging moment there, that you can calculate from that figure that you can see in the previous slide. So this is the total length that you will get here. Okay, so minus 1134 kilonewton meter at that point, the maximum hogging moment will be there. So this one is the reaction in that area, that You can see here. Okay, so these are the factor load, the upward reaction there, and this is the hogging moment that we will get here 1134 kilonewton meter. And what will be the sagging moment will be there. The point of contraflexure that you can calculate. So let the bending moment be 0 at a distance of x meter from the left end. So the point of contraflexure is the bending moment will be 0 there from the left end, that we consider again the x distance from the left end. So this is the reaction against that, and this is the factor load above the column A. So against that you can calculate here the value of the x with the help of the quadratic equation. And x here we are getting that is 0.90 meter and 4.63 meter from the left end. So this is the distance that we are getting here. So against that, this is the 0.75 meter, and from the axis of the column that will be 0.15 meter, because here we are getting 0.9 something, and this is the distance that 4.93 I think something which we are getting here. So this is the distance from the axis of the column B, that is 0.62 meter will be there, where we have the point of contraflexure from the left edge of the footing. So equating the bending moment, the maximum, the limiting moment to the ultimate moment we have. So this is the ultimate moment at the maximum hogging moment which we calculated in the previous step. So when you will equate with that, this is the width of the footing 1750 that we get the step number 1. So this is the effective depth that we are getting 467 mm against this. So providing here, we are providing here the 20 mm dia bar at a clear cover of 60 mm. So in the case of the foundation, we have to provide the clear cover is equal to 60 mm, and the maximum dia of bar which we are providing here, that is 20 mm. The effective cover to center of the steel, that is 60 plus 10, 70, and the overall depth here we are getting the effective depth, that is 467 plus this effective cover. This is the overall depth that we are getting here, 537 mm. So for the economical use of the steel, increase this overall depth up to the 50%, and overall depth required here. So now this is the overall depth required, that is 805.5. So the provide an overall depth of this, now the actual effective depth that you can calculate here after subtracting the effective cover. So this is the actual effective depth which we have to provide, it is 730. Now we can calculate here the reinforcement from the bending moment consideration. So this is the cross section area we have, the D and B here, and this is the maximum hogging moment. Against that we can calculate here the percentage of steel, that here we are getting 0.605%. Then the area of steel against that, so the 20 mm dia bar which we decided to provide here, and against the area of the steel we can provide here 25 numbers of 20 mm dia bar, and the bottom steel under the column A for a sagging moment. So this is the steel that you can provide in between, where we have the maximum hogging moment in between the column A and B. Now for the sagging moment, the bottom steel under the column A, the moment there, that is 183.42 kilonewton per meter, which we calculated in the previous step, that you can see. So here these are the two movement that we calculated there, that was 183, the bending moment under the column A and bending moment under the column B. So this is the, so against that this bending moment consideration, we can calculate here the percentage of steel and area of steel. Is that clear? So this one is the yes, in this condition. So we calculated the area of steel in between these two axes of the column, where we have the maximum hogging moment. against that. So this is the point where the bending moment will be 0, and in between there will be the maximum bending moment will be there. So against that, we calculated here, first we calculated here the percentage of steel and area of steel, and now we are going to calculate the bending moment, the percentage of steel under the column A and under the column B. Okay, so we were there, and under the column A, so this is the bending moment under the column B that we can calculate from there with the help of this. So this is the actual effective depth that again we need to use same cross sectional area for both the conditions A and B. This is the area of the steel that we are getting here, 5941 mm square. Now the shear force analysis that you can also get. So this is the step number 8. So the shear force on the left hand side of the column A, that is so this is the reaction on the net upward pressure, the reaction of the length of the footing due to the column load that we calculated in the previous step. So on the left side of the column A, we have this projection that is 0.0775 meter. So against that, the shear force on the left hand side of the column, that will be this. Then we have the shear force on the right side of the column B. So this one here, we have the left side of the column A, and this is basically the load on the right side of the column B. So this is the factor load we have, that is 1800 kilonewton on the right side of the column B. Then we have the shear force on the right side of the column B again, that will be, so sorry, this one is the left side of the column B, and so this is the reaction there, and this is the projection from the left side of the column B. Okay, so this one shear force on the left side of the column B will be, that will be there. This is the basically is the load, the factor load on the column B we have, and from the right side of the column B, this is the reaction that is given to us, minus 1076.09 kilonewton. So against that will be the shear force there. And the cantilevering part, now we have to design the cantilever part. So basically the cantilever part we have, this is the cantilever part of the footing that we have, that you can see here. So this is the cantilever part, that from the axis of the column that you can see here up to this. Okay, so how to design this cantilever? So first we design this portion in between where we have the maximum hogging moment will be there. Then we design the steel under the column A and under the column B. Now we have to design this cantilever part, this projection there. Okay, and so this one is the cantilevering part. The critical section for the shear is taken at a distance equal to the effective depth from the face of the column. So what will be the critical section in this cantilevering part there? So the critical section that we will consider up to the distance that will be equal to the effective depth. So we will consider basically from the face of the column that distance, and that distance that will be equal to the effective depth. The cantilevering part of the left side of the column A. So the cantilevering part beyond the column face, that is 0.75 is the basically is the projection that was given to us. So in which you will subtract when the half of the width of the column. So this is the distance that you will get here, 0.55 meter. This cantilever part 550 meter but the effective depth there, that is 730. So that we can provide here the nominal 8 leg and the 10 mm dia stirrups there for the column under the column A against this effective depth. So this is the directly you can see here we basically we calculated the reinforcement of this projection, in which we have to provide the 8 leg stirrups, and that will be the 10 mm dia with the spacing of 300 mm center spacing, that I will explain you in the next slide. Okay, so there will be the figure that you will get the bending moment, and for the shear forces diagram will be there. Okay, so these are the projection in between that, and this is the shear force that you will get here in the previous slide. So the shear force on the left hand side of the column A, that is plus 489. These one. So all these value that with the help of that we need to draw the shear force diagram. Okay. So this is the shear strength, the tau C, the shear strength of the concrete 0.51 Newton per mm square. That need to be clear from these steps. The cantilevering part of the right side of the column B, the cantilevering projection beyond the column face, that is again half of this column that we need to subtract here. So this is the cantilevering part there, and the critical section is taken at the depth of the effective depth. So 730 mm from the column face. The distance of the critical section from the axis of the column A, and so this is the total distance we have, and the shear force at this critical section. So that was the projection there. Okay, and so from the total projection, when you will subtract this distance, this is the half of the column A, and this is the effective depth which we are considering here, 1030 mm. So that was the total projection. So the remaining that will be divided with the total projection into the shear force at the column B. So this is the shear force at the critical section, that is 404.35 kilonewton. And the nominal shear stress, that will be equal to VU, the shear force divided by BD. This is B into D, in which B we have 11750. This is the width of the footing, and 730 is the effective depth of the footing. So the percentage of the steel provided against that. So this is basically is the area of steel, that is 5966 divided by B into D into 100, which we calculated in the previous step. That was 5941 there under the column B. Okay. So the footing between the two columns. Okay. So the percentage of steel that here we are getting against the area of steel there, and 5966 that we are considering, that is near about 5941 divided by B into D into 100, and this is the against at this percentage of steel. we can calculate here that tau c. Okay, now we can compare both this value. Here we can see the tau v, which is less than tau c. It means the nominal shear stress, which is less than the shear strength of the concrete. So we can say that the minimum shear enforcement that we can provide here. If the value of the tau v is greater than tau c, that the shear enforcement is needed. The actual shear enforcement is needed. But now the tau v is less than tau c, so it means the minimum shear enforcement that we can provide here in the form of 8-legged stirrups with the 10 mm dia bar at 300 mm center spacing, like we provided same as on the projection on the left hand side of the column A. Okay. So this is then the footing between the two columns. Here the footing on the right side of the column A, the critical section should be considered at the lesser of the following distance from the axis of the column A. The half of the column size plus effective depth and distance up to the point of the contraflexure. So distance up to the point of the contraflexure, that was 150 mm, and half of the column, that was 200 plus 730, the effective depth 930. So the critical section is taken as 0.15 meter from the axis of the column A. So shear force at this critical section, so that was 131087. So this is the projection here, 2.01 the total projection we have, and the nominal shear stress here we are getting, that is 0.95. Percentage of steel is 0.61. So against that, again we need to check here the value, the tau c, that is the 0.51. Okay, so the shear resistance of the concrete tau c into BD, that is 0.51 into the cross section area. And then the shear force at a distance of this, the shear force occur at a distance of here, that is 1 meter. So point of the point of the zero shear, that is 1.10 meter from the axis of the column A. The net shear force for which the shear enforcement is required, that is, so this is the total reaction there, and that we calculated in the previous step. 1213.04. So here we are getting this net shear force for which the shear enforcement is required. So here we have to design. Why we need to provide here the shear enforcement? Because the nominal shear stress, that is the 0.95, which is more than 0.51. So that's why we will go for the design of the shear enforcement. So against that, we need to calculate here the total shear force against that we need to design the shear enforcement. So that's why first we calculate here the shear enforcement shear that will be taken by the concrete there. So this is the shear strength of the concrete, this is the cross section area, and the shear force, now the shear force occur at a distance. So which distance that will be occur? So this is the shear resistance that will be taken by the concrete. Okay, and divided by the shear force we have into the distance 2.01, including the projection. So 1.10 meter from the axis of the column A, the net shear force for which the shear enforcement is required. So this is the total net shear force that we are getting here, 561.515 kilonewton. So against that, the spacing, that is 319 mm, and we will provide here the 10 legged 12 mm dia stirrups at the rate of 300 mm center to center spacing. and the footing on the left side of the column B. The critical section should be considered at the lesser of the following distance from the axis of the column A, the half of the column A, half of the column B, and effective depth and distance up to the point of contact fracture, that is 620 mm. So same like that we calculated in the previous step, the shear force at the critical section, that is that here we are getting 1219.65 kilonewton, and nominal shear stress, that this one, the VU upon BD. So this is the same as the nominal shear stress at the critical section on the right side of the column A. So now again the same, we can say that the 10 legged, the 12 mm dia stirrups at the rate of 300 mm center spacing that we can provide here. With the shear resistance of the concrete, that is 651.525 kilonewton. Again the same that we will get here, and this is the shear force occur at a distance of, so this is the projection we have, 1 meter from the section of the zero shear. So the remaining that we will get 1.49 from the axis of the column B. So from this calculation that you will get this figure. Okay, when you will divide it, that was the maximum shear in between 1.010, and these two section in between we have 1 meter, and this is again we have 1.490 meter here, where we have the maximum shear force will be there. So from this distance, the maximum shear force, that is 1.010 meter, and from this 1.490 meter. And these are the projection that we designed there. Okay, so this one is the figure that you will get at last here. So this is the footing we have, in which we have these two columns, 400 into 400 and 600 into 600 mm. This is the total length of the footing, and you can see here the detailing of the reinforcement in this footing, in which first we calculated here that this main steel in between these two footing against the maximum homing moment, and then we calculated the steel footing under the column A and under the column B. Okay, so here we provide on the both side, we provide here the 12 mm dia bar with the 10 legged stirrups, and up to this distance 1.490 meter, here we provide the 12 mm dia bar with the 10 legged with the 10 legged stirrups, and this is the 8 legged stirrups in between that we can provide here, because there will be the less shear force as compared to this distance. So यहाँ पर from this there will be the maximum shear. So here we are providing the 12 mm 10 legged dia stirrups, and here we are providing the 10 mm dia bar with the 8 legged stirrups. This is the main steel that we calculated, that the number of bars was 25 and dia of steel was 20, and the 6 and the 5 bar on this side and 6 bar on this side of the 20 mm dia bar, same that we have to provide there. So this is the stirrups that we need to provide here. So again we have, there will be the 12 mm dia, the 130 mm center to center spacing will be there, the distribution steel. So this is the plan that you can see here. This is the top plan of the steel, and this is the bottom plan of the steel that you will get here. Okay, So in the top plan of the steel, you will see this main steel with the 25 mm dia bar. In the bottom plan, that you can see this steels, the 5 bars of the 20 mm dia along this. Okay, so is that clear? This one?